guys, Elegant Mess from the Mad Dog Gaming Clan. Today we're going to do a unboxing and install of the GELID ICY VGA cooler. This is going to be going on an MSI GTX 680 4GB OC edition card. Love the graphics card, it's been nothing but phenomenal. But one of the fans actually went out on it, and I was pretty sad about that. Contacted MSI, and it's going to be about 4 or 5 weeks to send it back in, have them analyze it, figure out what they wanted to do in regards to fixing it, and then sending it back out. Now, seeing as how when I purchased it, it was over $500, I wasn't about to go a month or so without a graphics card. So went online, did a couple searches, and came up with a couple of different results. The other option that I was going to go with was the Accelero VGA cooler, which is a 3-fan layout, which is probably about this much longer. It's quite a bit larger. The temperatures on the card, even with the 1 fan, are acceptable. I don't think I've ever gone above like 65 or so with the fan profiles. Now, the only thing with this cooler is that it does not have a controllable fan layout on it. Now, it does come with an adapter, so if you do have a fan controller, it'll work. Top of my Corsair 600T has got a fan controller built right into it. So I can tap into that, attach this to it so I can actually control it. And so I believe the max RPM on this is 2,000 RPMs. Yeah, 2,000 RPM. So we'll take a little look at it. Okay, so here is the GELID ICY Vision. This is revision number 2. Supports AMD HD 4850, 4870, 4890, 5830, all the way up to 7870. NVIDIA 9800 GT, up to the GTX 680 and the Quadro 4000. Pretty much everyone in between, as I can see. The GTX 660 and 660 Ti are not listed on here, so check their website if you are interested in that, and that is the card you are going to be using. Now, there was mention of a compatibility issue with a stacked power outlet on the graphics cards. I did the measurements on it. The power outlets on my MSI GTX 680 4GB are not stacked. If they were, though, there's still the lengthwise it would still fit. So okay, package contents. Cooler itself. Has a 5 heat pipe layout. To my right here, 2 of the heat pipes come out this end, the other 3 come out this end. Obviously, clear plastic for the heatsink that will be coming off. So included is the back plate, which we'll get to in a minute. And we have our 4-pin Molex, which is actually a 2-pin for the fan header connector. Looks like they have provided some thermal compound, GELID sticker, all the required hardware, which it looks like they've given plenty of. So, and then a friend of mine got the same cooler, but a different version, and
instead of giving, these are just little clear sticky tapes for the back of the heat sinks that'll go over the VRM. They gave him an actual paste that took over a day to dry, so he gave a forewarning of that, and I said the package contents included the tape instead, so also the little spacers are included, and one long strip. Installation instructions, AMD, will not be needing that, blah blah blah. Installation instructions for NVIDIA series display cards. So I'm going to go ahead and shut down the computer, get my graphics card out, and get that cleaned up and prepped, and we will get back to it. Okay, so here is our MSI GTX 680 4GB OC edition card. And this is the fan that has stopped working. So in regards to removing the heatsink from the outside of this, it's just the 4 placement screws right here that hold the heatsink onto the PCB board. So we're going to go ahead and loosen these up. Now you always want to ensure that you use a nice clean workspace and have an area set aside for any of your screws and components, as to not lose them. And with these, when you take them out, just be very careful not to just take them out real quickly, because they are on a spring load. So you could lose parts if you just kind of try and go too quickly. Okay, so now that all 4 of those are removed, we can go ahead and lift this right off. Should come off nice and easy. And then just remember that the original power connector for the fans is still plugged in, so just release that from its mount. Here is the initial cooler that came with the MSI GTX 680. I did have the computer on for about 20 minutes beforehand. The card is still fairly new, so the thermal compound has not dried out in the slightest, so that removed very easily. For the RAM and the VRM, all these heat sinks, I'm not even going to bother with, because as you can see, this whole backplating that goes all the way around this is the heat sink for all of that. So I mean, I could technically remove this plating here and then put on all of the heat sinks and stuff that come with it, but there's actually no need to do that, so it'll save quite a bit of time. 91% isopropyl alcohol. It comes out nice. Now you want to clean this until you get a nice shiny surface. It should be a very reflective surface. It looks like there's a little excess runoff that I may need to get a Q-tip for, just to pull that off of the sides. So I just be careful not to leave any behind. Another trick I've learned over the years, if you're going to use a Q-tip, just give it a good spin with your finger. This will help any of the extra strands of fiber on them stick to it instead of coming off. These corner pieces can be a real pain, but you just want to do your best to get it all cleaned off, depending on how patient you are. on how well it will look.
Okay, so now that we've got everything cleaned up, as you can see, nice and shiny and clean. That's what we're looking for. Now initially there may be spacers on these back 4 corners. Go ahead, remove those, and try and remove any of the residue. We're going to replace those as well with new spacers. So each of the corners is going to get one.
Once you get them in place, go ahead and give it a firm little push in place, and they'll stay right there.
So for this card, I'm going to have to use 8 of the spacers, one for each of the 4 corners, the front side and the back side of the PCB. So there's the front side, and go ahead and do the same thing to the back side of the 4 corners. Okay, so we've got all our spacers in place. Now we're going to put the standoffs in. So in regards to the standoffs and the hole location that you're going to be using for your specific video card, they give you a little diagram here. And on the diagram, it'll tell you specifically the spacings of it, around it, and which ones you're going to want to use for your graphics card and which mounting holes to use for that. So we're going to go ahead and get those set up, and I'll show you what it looks like once they're all in. If you look at the back plate, you'll see that there's a 4 beveled screws, or holes for screws, which are going to go, it's going to get mounted to the heatsink here. So these ones that are beveled are going to go face down, one standoff, which is the double-sided one. It'll focus. The double-sided one, and then one of these ones, it's got an opening in the other end, which will tighten onto it over the back plate. So with this side facing up, beveled side facing up, the standoff, the double-sided standoff, will go through your specific hole through the top, and the standoff with the hole on the end will screw right onto it. So you're going to do that for each of the 4 corners of the back plate. All 4 of them are in. Double-sided standoffs on the flat end facing down, and the one-sided standoffs will be on the beveled side. So it'll sit over the top of it like this, and you'll see there's a little bit of movement in this. Now the measurements for the copper heatsink on the back of this are actually a little bit taller than the depth of that, so it'll actually press through and keep the 2 pushed together tightly for a clean contact between the 2 of them. So it's pretty well thought out. So we're going to go ahead, tighten these up, and then the beveled side is going to go over it. So the beveled side is down, and the 4 beveled screw holes have flush mounted screws to secure it to the heatsink. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten these up, give it a once over so it's nice and clean, and we'll continue with the install. Okay, so here is the GELID ICY Vision. and the back mounting plate is installed. Like I said, the beveled screw holes facing down and the countersunk screws will go right into it. If you can see, there's just a bit of a lip on that. So like I said, with the spacing, it'll sit nice and flush against the GPU. So we're going to go ahead and apply our thermal paste. Okay, so all the thermal paste is applied. Nice even coverage. So from here, for the standoffs that we used, we're going to use 4 fastening screws. And this is what they look like. They've got a single, almost like a flat head screwdriver notch on the top of them. So just set the cooler right on top. And, 4 corner holes. As such, and that's just how it's going to seat. I'm just going to hold on to both corners of it. Flip it over. So we can secure it on the back. So with these, I'll get them all started. If you've ever changed a tire on a car, it's going to be similar to that. So tighten these down, going from corner to corner, corner to corner, until you're applying even pressure all the way around by going back and forth from corner to corner. Okay, so I've gone through and just made sure everything was tightened up, good and secure here. Seems nice and tight, good fit. And good way to double check here. Go through and give a look straight down to where you can see right there where the heatsink and the GPU platform sit together. Just make sure that those are flush, and that's good. That's the GELID Icy Vision Rev 2 on an MSI GTX 680 4GB OC Edition card. So I'm going to go ahead, reinstall this back into the case.
Okay, so the GELID Icy Vision Rev 2 is installed on the card. Card is back in the computer, and done some preliminary testing, and everything seems to be working okay. It turns out the fan that wasn't working is actually, it must be on the PCB board itself or something, because the cooler, once I hooked it up just to the fan control to the PCB, still the same fan wasn't working. Used the adapter, connected it to a 3-pin for the controller of the of my case, and it's working fine. So, but regardless, the temps are good. We're going to go through and take a look at it here. A little bit of what the computer looks like. Take an actual look at it, and then we'll do some gameplay and see how we are for temperatures. As you can see, both fans are spinning. Spec-wise for the computer,
shut this off for you. Spec-wise for the computer, Intel Core i7 3770K, water cooled, XSPC Raystorm 750, water block, reservoir, and 240mm rad. Custom sound activated LED mod. As you can see, this is the controller for it here. That's why all the lights are flashing. And 1000 watt modular power supply. 16 gigs G-Skill Aries 1866 RAM, and obviously the MSI GTX 680 4 gig OC edition with the GELID ICY Vision cooler on it now. All in all, it was a very simple install, so I was very happy with that. So we'll run through a little bit of gameplay here and see what our temperatures are like. So for testing purposes, in regards to the game, we're going to run my fave, PlanetSide 2. Interested? Check out my channel. Got plenty of gameplay up there. This game's badass. Okay, so that should give you some idea of how we're running. 99% GPU core, 51 degrees max. So we're still looking about 15 degrees cooler than what we normally were. I'll deploy back in here and give you a close-up of the actual temperature readings. Using an open hardware monitor. We are looking right here. NVIDIA GTX 680, GPU core 75, 74%, max temps 53C, fan controller, max fan percentage 68%. Max temp on processor 56 degrees, 58. Not too bad. Okay, so that's the wrap up. That's pretty much everything. That's the unboxing, review, install, and actual operation of the GELID ICY Vision Rev 2 on an MSI GTX 680 4 gig OC edition. Thanks for watching, and if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to just let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and thanks for watching.